Merry Christmas. This is Kim from Creative DIY Purpose. Welcome. Today I have 10 different upcycled ornaments for you made out of jar lids, and we're going to have a special bonus ornament made just for kids. These are all vintage inspired, and I'm also going to be sharing with you a few of my vintage ornaments and decor from back in the 70s. So come on, let's get started. You're going to want to grab some jar lids, just about any kind will do. You're going to want them around 3 inches or wider. Our first ornament today is going to be using some dried flowers that I had left over from the summer and a torn, stained doily that I got for free from a yard sale. And I did go ahead and spray paint both sides of this jar lid. It's a brushed, hammered bronze spray paint. So I'm just going to go ahead and measure around the doily. You can see I've used it for previous projects. So I'm trying to get the design kind of lined up because I'm going to go ahead and hot glue the doily inside of this jar lid. So I just want to get it nice and even. So once I get the doily kind of lined up where I think it's going to work, I'm going to use a wooden clothespin to go down to try to get the doily to adhere to the glue. And I found that this way I don't burn my fingers as much. And then I'm just going to go around the edges and trim off the lace. Then I'm just going to run the glue gun around the edges just to kind of get it so it's all tacked down. Then I went ahead and just kind of positioned the flowers where I wanted them. And we're just going to tack them down with a little bit of hot glue. One thing I'm going to recommend when your project is all finished is to use some spray sealer. And that will help your dried flowers stay intact. You can kind of see my lavenders all over. It smelled absolutely wonderful. And you could probably go ahead and spray them before. I always have dried flowers hanging and I don't spray them usually until I'm finished with a project because I use a lot of them for bath salt and foot soaks and candles and things that you wouldn't want them sprayed with a sealer. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out because I think that the edge kind of looks kind of rough. So trying to figure out what type of trim to use. I was going to use just some of this lace that is actually vintage and beautiful, but it was just not the shade or texture. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and clip the outside of this doily. And you'll have to excuse my fingers, my bloody fingers. We just got a new kitten and he likes to teeth and scratch. So my hands are extra in rough shape this week, but we absolutely love him. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue this right around the outside. And then we're going to take some of that sheer ribbon and just make a little tie for the back. And this one's all set. Oh, and project number 2 is hands down my favorite. You can take any type of Christmas card and we're going to make like a little diorama. But this is a true vintage card. This was belonged to my grandmother. And this was like a sample card from a salesman. They would all come attached to in a book, and she would go ahead and either write or glue different types of recipes in there. And I can't believe that this glue is adhered after, I don't know, 60, 70 years. It's amazing. And I'm going to just cut around the card because I want to hang this on the tree instead of keeping them in a storage box. So I found some glittery, sparkly pipe cleaners that I thought would look beautiful right around the inside edge on a trim. It kind of reminds me of the little handmade ornaments on my grandmother's tree that were made from little pie tins. So I just used some spray adhesive, and that way I wouldn't get any bumps from the hot glue underneath that picture. And I'm just going to go right around and hot glue the pipe cleaners in, and we're going to cut those little bells out so you can do that and add like kind of a 3D effect. I just don't want any of that card to go to waste. And then we're going to go ahead and just tack a little hanger right up on the top. And this project is all finished. All right, so for project number 3, we're going to be using some of these vintage buttons that my mother gifted to me, but you can use any type of buttons that you can find, and we're going to use another piece of that doily. You could even use a fabric backing or some burlap or even some ribbon, anything you can find to add some texture. I did go around and paint the mason jar band, and I just did it like a whitewash. It's kind of hard to tell in here. And I should have actually done the lid as well, because you can see some of the words pop through, but that's okay. So I'm just going to layer some, just do a design. You could do any colors that you want. I just think these buttons are so beautiful. And I would love, there we go, we just kind of see where I painted it. I'd love to look at this and be reminded of them on the tree during the holidays with family. So to cover up some of the rougher edges or the back of some of the jars, all I did was go on Canva and I made a circle frame and I put some music on there. But you could even use different scraps of fabric. It's just to cover it up to give it a more cleaner look. And then I used fishing line and attached some beads and folded it over and just tucked it inside and hot glued it underneath that backing. And this one's all set. For project number 4, we're going to be upcycling an old baby sweater. I'm just going to go ahead and try to find a nice even spot. We're actually going to get several projects out of this cute little. This is a great way to upcycle items that have flaws on them and can't be given away. Or this is a really nice idea to make like a memory ornament, you know, from someone special, or even to remember your kids when they were this tiny and be able to have it on the tree. So I'm just trying to find a spot. And the only reason I put the band around is just help stabilize it before I glue it on. So I'm trying to get the fabric so that it's not stretched out, but where the design is kind of lined up where I'd like it to be. Then I'm going to go ahead and just add that band for stability. We can take that off, but you can, if you choose to leave that on, you know, you can also embellish that outside rim. I just had plans to use that band for another ornament. I wanted a little bit different look for this one. So then I just flipped it upside down and I'm going right around the edge of that rim and adding some hot glue. And it's just going to make cutting it so much easier. So I'm just going to go ahead, remove the band, cut around the edges, and then we're going to find a piece that we can go ahead and glue onto the back side. Now make sure when you do this that you are gluing the inside of the sweater to the back side and not the outside like I did. I also tacked on, as you can see, some fishing line that I was going to hang, I'm going to hang the ornament with. And as I'm going around cutting off the outside of the sweater, I accidentally cut that fishing line. But that's okay. I opened up a little piece of the sweater, even though it was hot glued on there, and tucked some fishing line down there to be able to hang this ornament. So I think that I needed an extra cup of coffee prior to making this, but that's all right. We got through it. I find that using the clothespins when you're gluing, oh my gosh, it's such a game changer. All right, so after I got this done, I realized that it needed a bow. So I just made a quick one and tacked it right up on the top. What do you guys think? Have you tried making one of these before, or would you like to try one? All right, and project number 5 is a nativity scene. And I always remember them all over our tree growing up and my grandmother's tree. And it can just be something so simple. I took the spaghetti jar lid and just put some of this beautiful vintage lace that my mom gave me. And our nativity image is one that I created on canva.com, but you could even cut out a Christmas card and put it in there. I wanted to add some pretty beads onto the hanger. So we're going to go ahead and take some fishing line, and we're just going to string some beads that will match, something that will go on the top and the bottom. And I'm going to hot glue this on, and then we're going to cover that spaghetti sauce lid on the back with some white felt. All right, so what do you guys think of this one? So today, Sophia and I are going to be making smiling snowman ornaments, and we're going to share with you how we made some of them 3D.
You can paint them with acrylic paint or spray paint.
All right, and to show you the easiest way that I found to put a hole in there without having a sharp edge is to just lightly tap on both sides with a wide nail. We found that when you drill the hole or hammered super fast that there was a really sharp edge, and it was kind of hard to sand out.
To get the snow on the top, you use slick fabric paint.
Kind of helps give it that 3D look. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and apply some to show you how easy it is to use. And Sophia is over there drawing on some eyes. We found that if we used a Sharpie marker, that it showed up very crisp and clear, and it's actually lasted a few years. We actually made this video 2 years ago. It was our very first craft video that we did together, and we are sharing it for the first time now. So Sophia added some nice pink rosy cheeks to her snowman
by using acrylic paint and a Q-tip.
Nice. All right, so now we have our 3D snow hair on a couple of our snowmen. All right, now we're going to show you how you can make some of the 3D features for your smiling snowman. The first thing that we're going to do is make some carrots out of
polymer clay.
You could also use air dry clay and then just paint them orange with acrylic paint. And we're going to go ahead and use E6000 to just adhere them onto the snowman. It is a super strong glue, so I did do that part outside and let it air dry before bringing them in.
And now we're going to add some earmuffs by using a clothespin, some pipe cleaners, and some pom-poms.
What do you use the clothespin for?
To hold the pipe cleaner in place.
Nice. And we're just going to put that on with some hot glue, right?
For the eyes, you can use Sharpie paint or googly eyes.
Which is your favorite?
I like the googly eyes.
Yeah.
For the next step, you can use ribbon, twine, or string to hang them, and we even use pipe cleaners on some of them.
The pipe cleaners make it super easy, huh?
Mm-hmm. And you can add ribbon to make bows or scarves.
I shared the link in the description box below so that you can head over to our blog and check out this post to see what materials and tools we needed and a little bit more of the detail and photos.
They also make fun gift toppers.
They sure do, and it's definitely ornaments to be cherished year after year. You can seal your ornaments with some Mod Podge or some spray sealer. For ornament number 6, we're going to make mini bottle brush tree ornament. We're just going to take some spray adhesive and some clear matte spray, and that's going to help our snow adhere and not flake off. We're going to take the little bottle brushes. I think I got these at the dollar store. And I'm going to bend the base of them because they're just a touch too tall. And then we're just going to hot glue them inside of that wide mason jar lid. And they're going to kind of stick out kind of like a 3D. And I'm just going to take some batting and hot glue that down. And then what I did was I used spray adhesive, and then I sprinkled the snow. And then I went ahead and sprayed it with the sealer. And then I might have sprinkled it with a little extra snow as well. And then once your batting dries, you can go ahead and just trim that off with a pair of scissors so it's nice and even. position your trees where you want them. And then I have some candy cane baker's twine that I added on top for just a little hanger. Okay, now you can hang that on your tree open, but I decided that I wanted a pop of color. So I went ahead, I actually printed this out on canva.com onto cardstock, but you could, again, use just about anything. You could use fabric, or you could even use a part of a Christmas card. I'm going to go ahead, just tack a little bit of hot glue on the top because the hanger was sliding a little bit and I want to keep it in position. Then I'm just going to hot glue that cardstock backing on just to give it some color. I like how it looks like snowflakes. Going to line up the design, and we're all set with this one. All right, what do you guys think about this one? All right, so for ornament number 7, this one is going to give another idea on what you can do with an upcycled sweater, but you could even use burlap or cork or any type of fabric. And I'm just going to go ahead, hot glue that fabric right on. This one is a smaller Hershey syrup. This one is a smaller lid, so it gives you a little bit of idea what you can do with the smaller ones. And this was just some greenery that I had gotten from Garland, and it was a little bit too long, so I just went ahead and clipped it, and of course I got it all over the place. And I'm just going to go ahead and add some berries. If you don't have berries, you can always go ahead and make some from clay. We did some last year, and you paint them with just acrylic paint, spray them with a sealer, and add them right in with your decor. So we're just going to twist those on, hot glue them. Add some of that candy cane baker's twine to the top for a tie, and this one is all set. So for ornament number 8, we're going to do like a little snow globe photo ornament. You just need your photo, some faux snow. We're going to go ahead and glue some right on the bottom of that picture. And then we're going to just glue the cardstock photo right into the inside of our jar lid. If you'd like to see how I pulled that photo together, because none of those kids were standing together and they definitely weren't outside, I'll go ahead and post that video for you now. And we actually did them inside of a waterless snow globe. But here we just thought that this would be a nice present again for the grandparents to be able to hang on their tree. And this is a great gift because it doesn't take up that much space. And they are so much fun to make. And the kids get a kick out of seeing them on the tree. I remember my grandmother's tree growing up. There was always photos of us kids on there and different ornaments that the grandkids have made. All right, so I went ahead and just put some sparkly pipe cleaner on the inside for some trim. And then just went ahead and did a pipe cleaner on the outside. I'm just going to go ahead and glue it into place. And that also doubles as a hanger. And added a little jingle bell. For project number 9, I covered this jar lid with some upcycled velour fabric that actually came from a piece of clothing that was no longer being used. I thought it was the perfect holiday color. And I'm going to attach this vintage brooch. And I'm just going to be pinning it in there so it could be removed in the future. And I'm just going to add on a bow. This beautiful pin is made by Monet. They opened in 1927 and were known for their beautiful costume jewelry. And I'm just going to go ahead, add some fishing line and 2 of the faux pearls for a hanger. And then I'm also going to cover the back with just a piece of fabric. And for our final ornament, we are going to be making a 3D Christmas scene. And all you're going to need is a jar lid. And you could even use mason jar band and lid as well. You're going to want 2 copies of your image. I printed these out on cardstock. I got the images off from canva.com. Once you take one of the images and glue it in the back, you're going to want to cut out some of the pieces that you want to stand out. and you're going to go ahead and you're going to hot glue them on the very inside of the edge of the lid. On the image on the bottom, because I didn't have that much that would adhere to the side of the jar, in order to stabilize it, I did cut off 2 pieces of a paper bag handle. You could use just about anything just to help give it stability, and I did add 1 to the other side of the house. Now I'm just going to take some batting and tuck it down in there and add a little faux snow for some sparkle. And then we're going to finish this ornament off with a white pipe cleaner that I'm going to use for trim around the outside. I sure remember a lot of pipe cleaner trimmed ornaments on the trees when I was growing up. And we're going to add just a little bit of that sparkle faux snow. And I'm going to go ahead and spray this piece with sealer just to keep the snow from flaking off. Dear friends, before I let you go, I wanted to share with you some vintage treasures from my childhood that I thought you might enjoy. Those beautiful poinsettia lights. I don't even know how old they are. I remember them back in the early 80s, maybe even the late 70s, and it is still going strong. And this Christmas cactus might not have blossomed yet, but it is off of a piece that my mom said is over 75 years old that belonged to my grandmother. My mom, back in the late 60s and early 70s, hand painted all of these beautiful ceramics that are just still treasured today. Imagine whatever you hand make this Christmas season can just be remembered and cherished for decades to come. And on this display on my buffet, I included some of the vintage cookie cutters I remember using and a picture of my mom as a little one and some of the teacups that she gave me. And I added some bottle brushes to them. I thought not only will she enjoy seeing all of these wonderful memories this Christmas, but also sharing some of those memories with the younger grandchildren this holiday season. I want to thank you so much for joining me, dear friends, and I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. I pray that it finds you well and blessed and full of joy and peace. And I look forward to spending more time with you this upcoming new year. I will see you soon, and God bless.